Hello and welcome to Good Morning Lancaster. It's Wednesday of week 4 and we are back with more news and entertainment.
Today we'll be discussing the latest news headlines and what is happening on campus this week.
We'll also later be joined by Chris Bickley, Associate Editor of Scan, to discuss the news this week.
We'll also be joined by Siri Hamperport, LA1 TV member, to discuss her recent success in securing a job as an NUS student journalist.
Welcome back, I am Ben Wallace.
And I'm Patrick Hennessy. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, did you have a particularly spooky Halloween, Patrick?
It wasn't too bad, thanks. How about you, Ben?
It wasn't so bad. Did you go out on any of the nights?
I went out on the Monday. What about you?
I went on the Saturday.
Oh, how's Saturday?
It was
I was away
good.
on Saturday.
No, Friday. I lied to you. Just lied to you. Sorry, Patrick.
God.
It was Friday night. A lot of great spooky costumes. I think my favourite was there was a guy and he was dressed up as just like a big sheet of toilet roll.
Oh, nice.
And, yeah, I thought it was pretty inventive.
Like a mummy?
Like no, like literally.
Oh.
It was like a wrap of toilet roll himself.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, it was good.
Pretty clever.
And well, the thing is with it is that I also saw people as well. They had like these little electric tops on, had like little sort of Iron Man things on that will pop. Oh, it was brilliant.
Oh,
were there any good
nice.
costumes for yours? Or?
I saw a couple Stranger Things type costumes, which are quite good.
That's a TV
Have you
show,
seen Stranger Things?
There we are. That's a shout out for you, Stranger Things.
Shout out to Stranger
Millions
Things.
now. Millions. And there's that Philip George thing on Monday, wasn't there?
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Did you go to that?
I did go to Philip George. It was very busy.
Was it?
Very busy event, yeah.
Sugar houses get busy though, to be fair.
Yeah, it was very busy.
Yeah, I had a nap. I stayed in. I was a bit tired. So
bit sensible.
I'd say. But yeah, there we go. I'm glad you had a great Halloween. Hope you had a great Halloween too, guys. And of course, we've got next bonfire night coming up too.
Oh, yeah.
So plenty of events coming up around and on site and on campus too. And let's bring you up to date with the latest news headlines.
Yesterday, LUSU held a pop-up union stall in Alexandra Square to inform students on the new higher education bill.
Some of the uni officers were handing out leaflets containing facts of the new bill. The facts sheet was deliberately made to be free from bias so that students could decide for themselves if they agree with the new bill or not.
Rachel Hughes, VP Campaigns and Communications Officer for LUSU, said that this new type of campaigning is so that students can form their own opinion on the subject and then tell LUSU their stance. Following this, there will be a debate to see what the general student body at Lancaster thinks about the matter.
Yeah, and LUSU have arranged a go-ahead for the London Demo March on Saturday, the 19th of November. Tickets are still available if you want to join them on the march. You'll log on to lusu.co.uk, that's lusu.co.uk, if you're interested and you want more information. And we should have a little graphics of it as well, I think. lucy.co.uk. One of the members here at LA1 TV has secured a national journalist job as a reporter on student lives at the NUS.
Cyril will have to produce 2 video reports a month, and the video should cover the themes of student lifestyle, sustainability, community and perspective.
And luckily for us, Patrick, later on the show, Cyril will be joining us to discuss more on this news story.
Last week, Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn and Lancashire MP Cat Smith paid a visit to Lancaster to give the annual Richardson Institute Peace Lecture.
Yeah, they arrived on campus around 4 a.m. at 4 p.m. at Alexandra Square and gave the students the opportunity to meet Corbyn and even get a picture with him.
At the Peace Lecture, Mr Corbyn and Cat Smith were amongst a panel of speakers promoting the various ways that people could challenge concepts that would help bring about peace. One of the ways Mr Corbyn suggested was to live a more sustainable lifestyle.
And if you would like to watch the full speech, we fully recorded it. So go on to LA1 TV website at la1tv.co.uk to check it out.
We even managed to get an interview with Kat Smith, so now let's take a quick look at that interview.
What do you think is the biggest problem facing students today?
I think the biggest challenge facing the student body today is going to be Brexit, and also the Higher Education and Research Bill, which is currently going through Parliament, and the way that is going to change the way that student finance limbers next generation of students with even more personal debt than the current generation.
So how would you kind of go about tackling these problems?
Well, I think that students need to be political, and I say that in a way that it's not party political, but political with maybe a small p, but be aware of the legislation that's coming through Westminster. There are currently the bills are going to end up in the House of Lords, and that's going to be where you're going to make the gains of students. So I think it's time to find a baroness or a lord and lobby them to point out that that students cannot sustain this level of personal debt, because at the minute the Sutton Trust has shown that students are graduating with around £44,000 worth of debt. Now, with that level of debt and with house prices going up, there is a huge level of insecurity in young people's lives generally, not just students, and that is impacting on a mental health crisis, and that is having an impact in job security and in every aspect of your life. So I think that keeping an eye on what's going on in the wider political world is important.
I mean, at Lancaster, our Labour Society has actually started a petition against the removal of the maintenance grants.
Yeah, so at the minute, students from poorer backgrounds will get a grant to supplement their living. Now, if that's turned into a loan, which is the government's plan, that means that students from poorer backgrounds will actually graduate with more debt than their richer peers, which goes against every sense of social justice. So the University Labour Club is doing that petition. I was on campus the other day. They didn't know I was on campus, but I turned up and I saw them campaigning in Alexander Square, and it was really good to see students talking about the impact on their lives of this debt.
And also, like you said before, the university fees are actually going to rise as well, so that will place students even in more debt. How do you advise students go about this?
I think it's important that we don't move away. Sometimes student campaigns have talked about keeping the cap on the fees, and I think it needs to be more radical than that. I think we need to actually talk about the principle of free education, about the idea that an educated population benefits the whole of society, and therefore it should be through business and general taxation that higher education is funded, so that debt is not a prohibitor to accessing higher education. And actually we value education as a force for good in itself as well, and not just see higher education as being a way of accessing that graduate job, which in the reality there are fewer and fewer of, and the wages that they're paying is actually dropping lower.
Are you hopeful to see free education in the near future?
I'm hopeful to see it in the future, maybe not the near future. I don't think the current government are quite where I am on this, but I think you've just got to believe that some things are possible, and I think in politics and as a student it's important that you fight for what you actually want to see in the world.
And
Thank you so
welcome
much.
back. We are now joined by Chris Bickley, Associate Scan Editor. Thank you for joining us, Chris.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you were at the Peace Lecture, of course. What did you think of it?
I thought it was very interesting. It was good to get somebody with a famous brand at the moment to come and give a talk, and somebody who's clearly very passionate about it. And whilst I might not have been interested if it was somebody who I hadn't heard of, it was interesting because you knew that he was going to, everything he said he believed in, and you could tell when he spoke he had conviction in what he was saying.
Yeah.
And it was just quite interesting. One of the poor elements of it was the fact that the screen he was standing in front of was very, very bright, and it made concentration very hard at some points. But I still think it was a good message, and it was great to have a good turnout for it.
Oh, nice. Did you get to meet him? Did you get a selfie with him?
I didn't get a selfie, unfortunately.
Oh.
I felt a bit bad for him. Afterwards, everybody decided to swarm him.
Oh.
So although I shook his hand and said thank you for coming, I didn't feel like I needed a selfie with him.
What about Kat Smith? Did you get to meet her?
I didn't as well either, because she was chatting to a few people who were organising it, and it did seem that they were in a rush to get out of there as soon as they can.
So a very busy event then, I'm assuming.
Oh, definitely. As in, people were not necessarily queuing outside when it was going on, but you could tell that people were going there and they're being turned away just because they didn't have a ticket for it. But
Right.
it was good that politics is starting to thrive a little bit on campus.
That's very true, yeah. People get their own opinions and be able to go to these kind of sort of talks and things about it. It is quite interesting. And on the same topic as that, was this about the higher education bill? Or?
It wasn't. This was more of a peace talk.
Right,
so
right.
I don't think he was actually allowed to talk about politics on there because it was supposed to be a neutral standpoint about peace in the modern world. There were a few times when he did mention Labour aspects, and you could tell that he started to get more and more passionate, but then he kind of stopped himself because he thought, no, we can't turn this into some sort of hust for Labour or something.
No, of course, yeah.
Yeah, do you think students are informed enough about the higher education bill? Or?
Don't think so. I think that Corbyn is kind of like helping with that, because I know a lot of friends at the university who have got more involved in politics because of him, because he's the closest we've got to a political icon right now. So I think that although more people are being informed about it, perhaps not enough are at the same time. But Lucy are always trying to get more people involved, which is always a good thing.
Well, while we're on the topic of it, and for those people who don't actually know, what do you know about the higher education bill?
It's, in essence, it all depends on who you believe, really, what side you're going to take. But they want to, or the government are planning to try and take more of the power away from the universities by setting up a kind of like a larger group or a board that can have decisions on certain university aspects.
Right.
And in a way, a lot of people are saying that it is quite dangerous because it's taking the power away from the universities, and just a couple of people at the top of the ivory tower can just click their fingers and change something that will affect a lot of universities.
Yeah.
So it all depends on what you believe, because although they're not going to be at the job without qualifications and stuff, so we should trust they know what they're doing, but there is always that case where it might go a little bit wrong, and you know, just a bit of like, I'm not really sure the way of describing it, but they have all the power and they can just change things that Lancaster University or another one wouldn't have a say in anymore.
Yeah, that's very true, and now the people are up to date as well. And will you be going to the demo on the 19th?
I don't think I will be, unfortunately. But are you going to be going?
I'm hoping not to go, yeah. And that's when you can sign up. Make sure you do that, guys. A little plug as well. And thank you for joining us, Chris. And we'll have a look now at the very video that Siri made, which is a little short minute thing about news to student journalist, which Siri will be. After the video, she'll be discussing what the job entails and all about the job, really. 40 seconds.
Eating habits are of major concern right now. More and more takeaway chains are associating themselves with the student experience, with special offers on Domino's pizzas and discounts on the Just Eat app for students. It's a common perception that the majority of students have poor diets and poor eating habits, with their diets mainly consisting of takeaways, convenience foods, and junk foods. But how is it that students fall into these bad eating habits so quickly after leaving home? And do these bad eating habits have a negative consequence on their mental well-being?
Every meal?
Yeah.
Once every other day.
I think it's a bit worse.
Yeah. And I think food on campus is more expensive, like fresh food.
Like, we get vouchers on Domino's and stuff,
Yeah,
so...
that's true.
I would say definitely. If you can't help but think about what you just ate, it's a lot harder to avoid stress.
Yeah,
They do
it
say,
must do,
like,
yeah.
there are brain foods.
Yeah.
And they're not takeaways, so...
Yeah.
New research has found that top reasons for students developing bad eating habits at uni include eating unhealthily because of stress, binge eating on takeaways after a night out, more food available on campus, they didn't have the knowledge or skills to cook healthily, they didn't have the facilities to cook on campus.
If you do want to change your diet, let's stick to it, because you're not going to notice it straight away. Just thinking about how I was this time last year and comparing it to this year, I'm just so much more up for lectures. I have training all the time and I still have energy for it. It's one of those things where you think back, you're like, actually, I am a lot better off.
After having spoken to the students, it's evident that they are well aware of takeaways being an unhealthy part of their diet. They also seem to be aware that these takeaways can have a negative consequence on their mental well-being and their studies. Hopefully, as new research comes to light, more affordable, healthy eating places will open up on campus so students can implement a healthy diet to their lifestyle. I'm Siri Hampapaw. Thanks.
Hi, Siri. Thank you for joining us.
It's fine, don't worry.
Siri.
Hey, I'm back.
And so here we are about the NUS. What's the job title?
It's an NUS student journalist.
Right, yeah. And how did you find out about this job opportunity?
So basically myself and Jack Hill, who is my co-presenter for last year's GMO,
right.
we went down to London for the NUS Media Summit, and there they have these career workshop things, and you go around, meet people from the industry, and they actually have their own journalist scheme, which I didn't know about, and they pitched it to us saying what it entails, how you apply, and that's kind of how I found out about the opportunity.
Yeah. And well, how was the application application process?
It was actually a lot easier than I thought it would be.
That's always good.
I mean, obviously, it seems really daunting because it's such a huge deal. It was a huge deal for me because the opportunity sounded amazing. But being part of student media meant I already had like all the knowledge and the experience and the skills to just kind of go out and do it by myself.
Yeah.
And it was just really straightforward. I had loads of themes in mind that I wanted to cover, and I had to finalise on one theme, which was kind of difficult. But I finally decided upon student eating habits, which is something I'm really passionate about, and I already have a lot of knowledge about the subject as well. So I
You
thought,
actually do blogging, don't you? You're vlogging.
yeah, I have a YouTube channel.
Hey, there we are. Like, I feel like as well, for someone student eating habits, this is something which I think I need to be interested in.
Yeah.
Well, you can watch my video.
Another point, there we go, they don't stop coming.
Well, you just did. You just did
oh,
watch.
true, yeah, there we are. So when did you start then?
So I actually started a bit late. I started a couple of weeks before the deadline.
Right.
But this was for my application, by the way.
Right, I see.
My actual job starts this month after my induction tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
that's quick.
Seriously?
Yeah,
Good
they're
luck.
subsidising my trip down to London and back.
Wow, that
Oh,
sounds
you're always
great.
going back to London.
I know, I'm always in London.
Yeah, and I guess there's something you're very excited for then, of
I
course.
am,
Yeah.
definitely.
Is it
Can't wait to
easy
see
for
how
other
it all
people to
works.
apply as well?
I think the applications have now closed,
Right.
but it is an annual thing. It happens every year.
Right.
So my contract will last from this November to next November. So they'll be taking on 10 new students next year. So if people want to apply for that, they can do that.
And
So when
of
did
course,
when did
no,
you?
after you,
Oh,
Patrick.
well, thank you.
Sorry.
So, like, when did you decide that you wanted to be an NUS journalist?
Literally, as soon as I found out about the opportunity, I was like, I have to do this.
Yeah.
Because journalism is something I've kind of recently got into. Obviously, I've done loads of presenting and production with LA1 TV and student media. But journalism was kind of like a new strand for me. And when I found out about this, it just sounded like such a great opportunity, like for me to get experience for my future career.
Yeah.
And you get paid for it. So
Well, there we go. It's a win-win, isn't it,
What's
really?
more to learn?
You could have said, ever since you were 3 years old, you knew that NUS was where you wanted to go. And have you got any
before NUS even started, I
Just
knew that's where I wanted to go.
are there any issues in the future that you want to cover as well as student eating habits?
Yeah, I've had
Any
quite a
hints?
few thoughts
Any
about,
hints?
obviously, carrying on the theme of eating, kind of leading to more a sustainable diet as well. I think that's something that would be really interesting for students to know
definitely.
about.
Yeah, to get to meet up with any other journalists, NUS journalists? Or
Well,
anything, or?
I did get the chance to interview Kat Smith actually, and I know she's not a journalist, but like she's quite an influential person,
Yeah.
and she did say that she's heard about me getting this NUS job.
Wow.
I don't know how, but she heard about it somehow, and she congratulated me on it,
Oh.
and she really wants to help me out. So. I'll probably be asking her for a cheeky interview.
You'll be sort of like in the future, like, sorry, I just got a call from Captain everyone. Just don't mind
So
me.
I have contacts.
You're like, sorry, it's a barman now. Going up in the world.
Rising up the ranks.
And thank you very much, Siri, for joining us. And here's a look at what's coming up this week on campus.
And today, Lucy are hosting a Paint the Rainbow event in Alexandra Square to represent LGBTQ inclusivity and diversity at Lancaster.
And what about tomorrow?
And tomorrow, the World at Lancaster are putting on a fireworks display at 5:30 in Lancaster Square.
Oh, there we go. And if you missed the fireworks on campus, then do not worry, because there will be firework displays in town on Friday, and on Saturday there'll be a bonfire night as well. And you can head down to Williamson Park and is it called the Salter Leisure Centre, I believe?
Yeah.
And to check out the display for free. For free, guys.
Let's go.
What do you want?
Oh, well, that seems to be all for this week's updates and today's episode of Good Morning Lancaster. Thank you for joining us and have a great bonfire night. Bye.
Goodbye.
Oh, sorry, just realised.